to Florida this afternoon. The two were only supposed to be in space for about a week, but instead spent 9 months at the International Space Station after the Boeing spacecraft they arrived on was deemed unsafe to use to return home. Your money at this moment, the Dow's down this morning. In fact, it's been hovering between 0.5% and 1%. Right now it's at 0.7%, down 289 points. Coming up, the snow is winding down and finally some relief in areas of the roads. Traffic and weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:32.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM. If you need some help getting your loved one through an addiction, and of course you do not want to lose yourself in that addiction at all, here's what you need to do. You need to log on to Renaissance Ranch because they offer these free family support services through weekly online classes, which are totally open to the public. And like I said, they're free.
And why are they doing this? Because the research has shown that when you have family members that are involved in the recovery process, the chances of a positive outcome for those addicted loved ones, it skyrockets. That's why they want to reach out and help people out with these free classes.
And what's really especially awesome about this is that you can attend as many of these open classes as you wish, as you want to, as you need to.
You can find it at renaissanceranch.com. You can see the drop-down menu, and you'll see every single day. I think maybe no Sunday. I don't know. You'll have to look. There's just about every single day there are either a class or multiple classes that you can attend, whether it's for spouses, parents, a women's support group, a couples recovery group. You can find this. Just go online. They're free online classes at renaissanceranch.com.
Any Hour Services free furnace sale is going on right now. If you haven't scheduled your free estimate yet, do it now. Call Any Hour Services today or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's low-rate auto loans. Well, we've got issues still. Now, the snow has tapered off a lot, and road conditions have improved in a lot of areas. Where you're still going to see slowdowns, I-15 between Point of the Mountain and Draper. We've also got a few slow spots near exits at 90th and 5300 South, and a little bit of a northbound slowing heading into Davis County in Rose Park. Southbound Mountain View, it looks to me like it is closed at 4100 South. We've had people that were getting spinning out in the ice and crashing just before 5400 South. I haven't seen any traffic go through the 4100 South intersection southbound at Mountain View for a little while now, so plan on that. Big and Little Cottonwood Canyons are both open, but they do have chains four-wheel drive restrictions. We've got a crash on Bangerter at 2100 South and one on 215's south end around the Knutson's Corner area to deal with as well. Teens can get up to $200 with a Teen Learn and Earn account, plus continue earning rewards as they master the essentials of finance. More at cypresscu.com/teen. Most of the snow showers should be gone by this afternoon, but Matt Johnson says some lake effect bands could pop up through the evening. Today's high will only be 39. That's revised down. Tomorrow we get sunshine and a high of 45. Right now it's mostly cloudy and 32 degrees. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
One question. Would riding in an air taxi scare you? Dave?
No, I've been in helicopters, I've been in planes, I've been in big planes, little planes. I have no worries about that. I go on some pretty scary rides at like mall carnivals. So I'm a thrill seeker.
You mean the rides that were most recently on the freeway 20 minutes ago?
Yeah. 20 minutes setup. Like I'll take that spinaroo.
Well, Utah's really we're on the forefront of launching this air taxi program, and Jay Evenson of the Deseret News has dropped an opinion piece about it, and I'm really interested in talking to you, Jay, about this because I would have been just like Dave. Probably no, just not too scared to get in an air taxi. I mean, anything that like lifts off the ground, right? If you put me on a pogo stick or a bungee jump, I would be scared initially. I've flown in lots of helicopters too, and it kind of gives you that rush in the beginning, but it peters out, after a while. You kind of get used to it. I would say, no, I'd be okay in an air taxi. Maybe if I'm hopping from Draper to the airport, for example. But then we started seeing a lot of crashes recently involving small aircraft, and it may not be more than years past, but it feels like a lot. And then we had the midair collision in Washington, D.C., and then in Canada, we had a Delta plane with its belly up on the runway, and my perspective suddenly changes.
Well, I think there's good reason for that. But you have to also keep things in perspective. But we really are on the edge of something new here. We talk about kind of life before the smartphone and after the smartphone. And I think someday we'll be talking about life before the air taxis and after the air taxis. There's a company called Beta Technologies, and they flew in a demonstration flight into Utah last week, and they have a memorandum of understanding with an aerospace and defense group called 47G that they will begin operating in Utah sometime soon. So this is coming. But there are a couple of really big concerns, and you mentioned one, the recent accidents, and now there's a report that says they want to really curtail helicopter use at Washington Reagan Airport because they just come too close to one another. And then there are reports that Elon Musk and his Department of Government Efficiency want to make cuts to air traffic controllers. There apparently was some kind of a showdown in a cabinet meeting recently between Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy and Elon Musk, and the president reportedly said that cabinet secretaries will have the right to override those kinds of policy decisions. So it seems like for now, we're not going to have cuts to air traffic control, but it would seem like we would need to be doing the opposite, actually ramping up more air traffic controllers, because we're going to have a lot more things flying in the sky and a lot more things to keep track of.
Yeah, and there's an argument to be made whether air traffic controllers will be replaced with artificial intelligence and whether the supercomputers are going to be following everything in the sky versus relying on human eyes.
Well, and also are pilots going to be replaced with artificial intelligence? We've had this discussion on this show before. There's one question about whether you would hop into an air taxi with a pilot, or would you hop into one that did not have a pilot and was flying on its own? And it appears that at least for now, there will be pilots in these aircraft. I'm also not really sure how quickly all of this will ramp up. And some experts are saying, look, we're going to begin with things like search and rescue and bringing medical supplies to remote parts of the state, that type of thing. We don't know how much it would cost to take a taxi ride from Draper to the airport in the sky. That's another big question that's out there. But I think everyone feels and understands there's so much money being invested into this right now that it's inevitable. We're going to have air taxis, and once they catch on, I think the biggest complaint we're going to have is that there's just going to be constant buzzing above us in the sky. But they are going to be a reality, certainly by 2030, and by the 2034 Olympics here, I think it's going to be a common thing.
Jay Evenson talking to us right now by phone. Obviously, you didn't take an air taxi to get to Broadcast House today. Hope you avoided all of the bad weather out there, Jay. And drops the opinion piece with the question: would riding in an air taxi scare you? Of course, that's at Deseret.com. You can read the entire piece for yourself. So you just talked about the company bringing in some of these demo planes or air taxis recently. What do they look like?
Well, these were fixed-wing type aircraft, so they look like just small airplanes. There are two different types of air taxis. There are the fixed-wing ones, and then there are the the more helicopter type things, which look like giant drones. I've seen them with 4 different rotors on top, and they go straight up and down, as opposed to flying just like regular aircraft. So they look very similar to either large drones or small aircraft. Carry something like 4 to 6 people. So they won't be that unusual to see, I think. But there's always the question of public confidence. And there have been recent opinion polls that show that very frequent flyers feel fine about it. But they also show that about 2/3 of the rest of the population is a little concerned about safety. So they have to really prove themselves, I think.
Jay, thank you so much for joining us. Jay Evenson, you can read this article. Are you ready to get in an air taxi? Does it scare you? At Deseret.com. Thanks, Jay.
I do get concerned about increased air traffic.
For sure.
Because there are no roads in the sky, in case anybody's wondering.
No lines,
Well,
no stoplights, no 4-ways, no right-of-way.
yeah, I'm gonna have to think this one through more. I might not be the first one to board. I'll let you go first.
And let's be honest, is this just a cool factor, or is this truly a practical solution to help ease traffic congestion in Utah? There's 3 million cars in Utah. How many air taxis would it take to truly relieve some of this congestion?
No, I think this is a Jetsons moment.
It's cool and it's fun.
It's like what Jay just said. There's going to be life before air taxis, which will be followed by what life is like after air taxis. Straight ahead, more and more Americans aren't even living paycheck to paycheck. They've spent half of their paycheck before it even drops in their bank account. That's next.
A couple weeks ago was nice, but you didn't really think we were done with the cold, did you? What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and if you haven't scheduled your annual furnace tune-up yet, I got some good news for you. Normally, we charge $124 to tune up your furnace, but not today. If you call today, Tuesday, March 18th, and mention you heard this ad, we'll give you $95 off and tune up your furnace for only $29. You won't hear this ad tomorrow, so call Any Hour Services right now to schedule. 801-443-7400. A furnace tune-up is the least expensive way to extend the life of your furnace and avoid unexpected breakdowns. And our technicians service all brands. 801-443-7400. If it's more convenient, go to anyhourservices.com and look for the red button that says Book Online. Schedule your $29 tune-up there. That's $124 value for only $29. If you get a hold of Any Hour Services today, call 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $200-$300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code WEALTH25 to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code WEALTH25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code WEALTH25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Dave and Dujanovic.
It's called the pre-spent paycheck. And the pre-spent paycheck, Dave, was a root of a lot of my anxiety in my 20s. And in fact, there's a survey that says 50% or more than 50% of Americans have allocated half their paycheck to bills before it even drops into their bank account.
That was just a problem in your 20s?
Yeah.
I think that crept over into my 30s, even parts of my 40s. Yeah, the pre-spent paycheck is called the Noriega household. That's what that is.
And that's where you actually have or a good chunk of your paycheck already allocated to cover bills. This is a big problem for me. I looked at this as a single person's problem. So the fact that you said that you were dealing with it in married life too, I don't know if that makes me feel better or makes me feel sad for you, but I just thought this was just a single person's problem because when you're a single person, you're on your own. There's nowhere else to go to get a little extra money. If you're going to work overtime, you're the only one working overtime in order to collect a bigger paycheck to get yourself out of that jam. But the pre-spent paycheck is the root of anxiety. 51% of the money is already earmarked before it even hits your bank account when you're in this camp. 51% of your paycheck. It's already spoken for. It's your house payment, it's your rent payment, it's your food, it's your utility bills, it's catching up on overdue bills. That's another aspect of the pre-spent paycheck. You're trying to keep up with last month's bills. What does it feel like when you're in that mode?
It's never enough.
Yeah.
You're always stressed.
Mm-hmm.
And if something happens, like if it's a surprise expense pops up, even if it's a few $100s, it feels like the end of the world.
Yeah, it's like you're living on the edge of financial destruction.
You're like, I can't catch a break here. And I remember having these feelings. I can't catch a break here. This is unbelievable. It just keeps piling on top of each other. And then you have the unexpected costs that pop up that really aren't that unexpected. For example, I just had to put 4 new tires on my car.
I didn't know that.
That was a surprise. I went in to get my, I'm like, oh, my tire light's popping up. Let me take it in. I go look at it. It's as bald as a newborn baby's head. Like, what am I doing? Like perfect timing, especially with the snow today.
How much did that set you back?
$432. And I bought the cheapest possible tires. Like the cheapest They even looked at me a little side eye. Like, are you sure you're going with those, Dave?
I'm pretty sure 4 or 5 years ago when I put on tires, it seemed like that one car I finally traded in. I needed new tires twice, I think, in the cycle of life of that car. It was like 11 years old when I traded it in. But anyway, it seems to me it was like $850 or $900.
Yeah,
and
I've done that
good
too.
Deal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, these ones where it's an EV, it's a small car. I don't need heavy duty tires. But anyway, that set me back. What was nice is for probably the first time that I can remember in recent memory, I'm like, I'm not happy about it, but it doesn't get my heart racing.
You're not mad about it?
Yeah, I don't want to fight anybody because that number pops up. But that's what it's like when you have that paycheck spent. Then anything that pops up, even if it's something that's totally reasonable, like an oil change or new tires or braces.
Oil change is the first thing to be booted down the road.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a bad idea.
We can get 30,000 miles on this oil change.
Yeah, all those like added expenses that were unanticipated, those would get booted down the road. So here's how I close the gap. And I don't think it was the right way to do it because the risk of running deeper into debt was so great by doing this. But when my paycheck wouldn't stretch to payday, if it was a couple of days before payday, because that's usually what happens when your bills are spoken for, or when your paycheck is spoken for by your bills before you ever get it, then you have so little money to, buy, emergency money or whatever, grocery money. I would put it on a credit card. And when I got my paycheck, I would go back and pay that credit card ASAP and pay that off. But I was eating into the next paycheck before I even got that paycheck. So it put me behind her.
Yeah.
The only way I was able to deal with this, and I'm going to shout about this on the radio and on social media until I don't know, stop talking, is I got a second job. And that is what really put me on the trajectory for better financial health. I was exhausted. I was bone tired. I got up some crazy time in the morning at 3:30 in the morning, would drive over. Everybody remember KKAT? If you're a country music fan here, you remember KCAT. Drove over there, did the morning drive news, and then I went to work at Channel 4 as a reporter. And sometimes I worked until 10 o'clock at night, and then I would get up the next morning and do it all over again 5 days a week. And by Saturday, I was so sick to my stomach because I was just flat exhausted.
Yes.
Saying I was exhausted is an understatement. I was just ill. I was so sick. And I did that for 3 months. And I was able to get myself ahead and get a grip on the one bill, particularly that had been hovering over my head. And then after that, I was like, I'm never doing that again. But the problem is with inflation now and the cost of everything, the $100 Costco run, that's a thing of the 90s, I mean, I love my Costco runs, but it's always $200 now.
Good luck getting out at 100. Yeah.
So I just don't know how people are getting out of this jam, and I wish I could say, oh, here's the the medicine you need, the financial medicine you need, and the problem is cured. Do people take a second job?
Do you think that's common? A second job?
Yes. I think second jobs I think that they are here to stay. I think it is how people are living their lives now. I think it's important, too, because your career could go away in a moment. Your job could go away. We've seen a lot of people getting fired, right? That having something you're working on the side is a way of life for people. But I also think it's really important to do that now. And there's so many opportunities. So many opportunities for second job. If you're driving Uber, if you're, doing Uber Eats, if you're working, a Sunday shift at the local grocery store, or whatever it is, there are so many opportunities now that I didn't have back in the day in the 90s. I think it's a way of life, and I also think it's smart.
So let me tell you, I looked it up in the Bureau of Labor Statistics, how many Americans have a second job. Let me get your impression of if you think it's much lower or higher than you thought. About 9 million Americans, about 5% of the workforce have a second job.
That should be 50% of the workforce.
You think that's way too low?
Yeah, but when you look at 50% of Americans on this study say that their paycheck is spoken for, 51% of it is spoken for before they ever get it. That tells me 50% of Americans probably should take on a second job.
And we're not.
Well, the numbers aren't matching, and they need to match.
Yeah.
They got to match. And in order to keep up, you got to just take on more responsibility. I'm sorry. That's
kind of an aha moment, Deb. I was expecting it to be far higher. I totally agree with your assessment. I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, if everybody's struggling financially, but only 5% of workers out there in America are grabbing that second job, then that seems like an opportunity lost.
Well,
it's not fun. I get it.
No.
You described it perfectly.
For me, it was the fastest way to financial freedom. It was 90 days of pure exhaustion. But when I crossed the finish line, I had given myself financial freedom and a lesson. I didn't want to go back.
Dave and Dujanovic. Are you asking for Dave and Debbie everywhere?
Just say, Alexa, play KSL News Radio.
And stream them on your phone. The KSL News Radio app.
We're excited to tell you guys that Master Electrical Service has joined Mountain Home Services.
Yeah, it's so exciting because that means they can do more things for you. They can fix your electrical problems. They can put that recessed lighting in your living room that you've been wanting. Maybe you're looking for a generator. And add to that list HVAC repairs. Maybe you need a new HVAC system.
Yeah, some plumbing as well. And today is the perfect day to talk about fireplaces because it is cold and it is wet and it is snowy. I cannot think of a better time to get a fireplace or think of a fireplace, and they can take care of that for you. They can help you choose just the right fireplace. And then because they have all this expertise in heating and air and plumbing and electrical, they can come in and bring all that expertise into your home and take care of you.
And remember, when you give them a call, to ask them all about that upfront pricing guarantee. That means the price that they quote you up front for the job that they're going to work on is the price you pay when the job is done. So there's no hidden fees.
Master Electrical Service has been around since 1954. They're the name that you trust. Go ahead and reach out to them. MountainHomeservices.com is the website, mountainhomeservices.com.
Or you can give them a call, 801-543-2222. One more time, 801-543-2222.
Are you in search of a fulfilling career where you can work on a team that provides you room to grow, learn, and thrive every day? Focus Engineering and Surveying is looking for individuals to join their team who take pride in the customer service they provide and have a passion for their clients to be successful. No experience in engineering, CAD design, or surveying? No problem. Focus will train those who fit their team culture for rewarding careers in surveying and CAD design. If you can align with the core ideology and the Focus team culture, if you're internally driven, team-oriented, client-focused, and love personal development and growth, Focus Engineering and Surveying is the place for you. Enjoy a positive work environment and paid internship opportunities, plus fantastic benefits like great health care with 80% employer-paid premium and HSA matched up to $200 per month, 401k, vacation, even annual performance bonuses. Start your journey towards your new and fulfilling career. Apply now at FocusUtah.com. That's FocusUtah.com.
This is Rod with great news for Utah homebuyers. When you hire the Save Right team of realtors at Realty Path, you get a Bank Buster loan with a fixed interest rate in the 5s. What is a Bank Buster loan? A Bank Buster loan gives you a fixed interest rate in the 5s. Bank Buster loans give you maximum buying power. Monthly payments can be up to $800 lower. Bank Buster loans can save you hundreds of thousands in mortgage interest. Get your Bank Buster loan when you hire the Save Right team of realtors to help you buy a home. Start with a rate in the 2s. Ask us how. Call 801-APPROVE or visit SaveRight.com. Get way more home for a lot less money. Get a Bank Buster loan. Call 801-APPROVE or visit SaveRight.com.
Welcome to Staples.
I hear Staples prints it all for any business.
You bet, and we'll beat any print quote.
So if I had a pizza place...
Staples can print signs, menus, pizza boxes.
A landscaping business?
Oh, we can print yard signs, t-shirts, brochures.
How about a pizza/landscaping business? I'll call it Dough and Mo.
I like it.
Right now at Staples, get up to $250 off your print purchase. Ends 4/5, exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for offer details. Price match guarantee valid in store and staples.com/print. Visit staples.com/price match for details.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot doot, and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh yeah.
And we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Free at every AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Heather Peterson. KSL's top story this hour. Today marks 5 years since the 5.7 magnitude earthquake in Magna, but Dr. Emily Morton from the University of Utah Seismograph Station says there are signs that point to something bigger on the horizon.
There was a study done in 2016, and that estimated we would probably have a 43% chance of having a magnitude 6.75 or greater within the next 50 years.
Morton says the impact from an earthquake that size would be much more damaging, impacting water, power, and building structures for an extended period of time. However, there's no way to predict how soon that could happen. It's a long day for snowplow drivers who've been preparing for today's storm for days. UDOT says they were out there clearing the roads all morning, but even when the snow stops, there's still a lot of cleanup work to do. Scattered snow showers will continue throughout the afternoon. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. President Trump says he wants to see a federal judge in D.C. impeached for putting a restraining order on deportations under the Alien Enemies Act. Now the most senior member of the judiciary has responded.
In an extraordinary move for the Chief Justice of the United States, John Roberts has issued a 2-sentence public statement pushing back against the president, who earlier called for the Chief Judge of the Federal District Court here to be impeached. Roberts responded, "For more than 2 centuries, it has been established that impeachment is not an appropriate response to a disagreement concerning a judicial decision." Roberts says that's what the normal appellate review process is for.
That's ABC's Stephen Portnoy reporting. Your money at this moment, the Dow is down 353 points, the S&P down 60, and the NASDAQ down 278. Coming up, the snow might not be finished just yet. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:02.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
A couple weeks ago was nice, but you didn't really think we were done with the cold, did you? What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and if you haven't scheduled your annual furnace tune-up yet, I got some good news for you. Normally, we charge $124 to tune up your furnace, but not today. If you call today, Tuesday, March 18th, and mention you heard this ad, we'll give you $95 off and tune up your furnace for only $29. You won't hear this ad tomorrow, so call Any Hour Services right now to schedule. 801-443-7400. A furnace tune-up is the least expensive way to extend the life of your furnace and avoid unexpected breakdowns, and our technicians service all brands. 801-443-7400. If it's more convenient, go to anyhourservices.com and look for the red button that says Book Online. Schedule your $29 tune-up there. That's a $124 value for only $29 if you get a hold of Any Hour Services today. Call 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation, an irregular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduce stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. It may increase your stroke risk. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding, unusual bruising, or tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. Medications such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners may increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
Do you need new windows? Look, all glass pretty much looks the same to the naked eye, but if your windows aren't triple-coated, argon-filled and sealed double-pane glass, the cold is seeping in. You need to call Advanced Window Products. They use the highest quality glass and premium vinyl to create state-of-the-art windows and frames, and for 38 years, they build those frames right here in Utah. Custom crafted for Utah's climate. The best windows you can buy at prices 30 and 40% less than what the big companies charge because they cut out the middleman. They're the factory. They even give you a lifetime warranty, and right now as we head into spring, save an extra $2,500 off 10 windows or more. Custom windows that'll give your house a fresh new look and save you money on your heating and air conditioning. Advanced Windows offers 60-month 0% financing, even buy now, pay later, and an extra $2,500 off. Call for a quote, 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or go to advancedwindows.com.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's low-rate auto loans. Here's Ricky Meese.
We do have an accident blocking all but the left lane of travel northbound Bangerter Highway just before the 201 junction, so about 2400 south. Then on I-15 going northbound, a crash after 6 north. That's blocking a right lane, also causing delays. We still have restrictions in place for Big and Little Cottonwood, but it looks like the storm is easing and your freeways are seeing much, much better speeds as well as road conditions. Flash sale experience Kurt Bester and Jenny Oaks Baker, The Redeemer. Music on the Life of Christ, March 31st at Bravenel Hall. Save 15% using code RISEN15. Tickets at jennyoaksbaker.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Some are seeing a break in the snow right now, but there are still more scattered snow showers in the forecast this afternoon. Highs expected to hit 39. Tomorrow it'll climb to 45 degrees as the storm rolls out. Right now it's cloudy and 34 degrees. I'm Heather Peterson from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories. On KSL News Radio, Dave and Dujanovic, special coverage of the top national story.
Let's talk about the two-faced American shopper. You cry, buy American, shop American, but then you don't. You shop from China. And it came to light to me this morning, Dave, when I saw that Forever 21, the big clothing company, it was in all the malls. All the kids shop there. It's going out of business. Forever 21's going out of business forever. Closing their doors, liquidating their merchandise. Founded in Los Angeles, California. Known for its cheap prices. But even those cheap prices weren't enough to keep Americans on the hook because Americans are running to China's big clothing giant, Shein, to buy. Let's talk about it.
And why are they doing it? Why are they buy? It's because it's cheap and it's delicious. It's like fast food. It's cheap and it's delicious. And even though we know it's not good for us, we're still going to stuff our face with those French fries because we love it. And that's what we're doing whenever we're shopping. And I don't think it's just clothes. I think it's anything. We go out there, we go onto Amazon, and the first thing we look at is the cheapest price. Like, admit it. You go onto Amazon, you're scrolling through before you even look at what the ratings are. You're looking for best price, and then you'll look if it has any good ratings. And that's what Shein is. We have this unbelievable price. So go ahead. Go buy American, like you claim, and pay 10 times the cost.
Now, how do we know that Forever 21 is blaming Shein and also blaming Temu? I'm not going to give all the credit to Shein, but Temu. These e-tailers that we love to buy from. Because Forever 21 said so in their bankruptcy filing. We can't keep competing. We can't keep competing with prices on these websites. Well, we're to blame for that. And we're so two-faced as shoppers. I don't know how many times in my life I've heard people say, buy American. America. Got to shop American. Do you know that in 2023, Dave, Americans spent like $11 billion on Shein? $11 billion with a B. It's cheap fashion. It's fast fashion. I just went to their website just a few minutes ago, and sweatshirts are $10. Oh, plus a 30% off coupon. Dresses are $7. Oh, plus a 30% off coupon. So Shein has taken business away from fashion retailers in America like Forever 21. And we're leaning into it. So I don't think you could say, buy American, but then turn around, download the Shein app, and buy from China. But we're all guilty of it. So which one is it? Are you the buy America? Or are you the, I'll buy China. I'll buy from China, thank you.
We've answered that because we will buy China. That's why Forever 21's going out of business.
Just made my heart sink.
We made that choice. It's clear cut.
So then why do we say buy American?
Because fundamentally we believe it. But it's like when you wake up in the morning and there's chocolate cake and then there's some healthy eggs. And there's the Debbie Dujanovics in the world that is like, I will eat my 2 hard-boiled eggs because it is responsible. There's those people.
That's exactly what
And then there's the
morning.
rest of us that is like, well, that chocolate cake would go good with a nice big tall glass of milk. Right? That's what the rest of America does. There's a few hard-boiled eggs gals out there that'll make the right choice for all the good reasons. But this is in part why we need the grown-ups to remove the chocolate cake as an option. And that's where I think President Trump's tariffs could play an important role. Because we do know that in China, that there are massive labor discrepancies, unfair business practices. In fact, if you go to the website, the State
Department
website, thank you. Mm-hmm. This is what they describe in the Xinjiang region. This is what they do to produce these garments, the clothes, the footwear, the carpet, the yarn, the holiday decorations, the building materials. Oh, what about the green stuff? Oh, yeah, solar power materials. This is all from the Xinjiang region, or it's been shopped out. These are some of the practices they use, the unfair business practices that we turn a complete and total blind eye to here in America.
Yeah, because the sweatshirt's $7.
Exactly. I don't want to really ask why it's $7 and why Forever 21 it's $35. I don't want to ask that question because I don't want to know that in this region, in the Xinjiang region, there are people from China that have the audacity to be Muslim, and that's, the Uyghur population here. And what happens? How do they get this stuff produced? Authorities use threats of physical violence, forcible drug intake, physical and sexual abuse, torture to force detainees to work in factories to produce these garments, footwear, carpet, yarn, etc. That is how you're getting the $7 shirt. And we don't want to ask that question. So what do tariffs do? They're supposed to level the playing field of unfair business practices. So what we say is you are cheating, China. If you're using this slave labor, you are cheating the world. You're undercutting everyone's prices because you're using slave labor. So what we're going to do is we're going to throw 1,000% tariff on you. And then all of a sudden, there's not a huge difference between.
They'll just make it cheaper, Dave. Sorry.
Then you make it 2,000.
They'll just make it cheaper. You see what I'm saying? I know what you're saying. You're like a 2,000. Like what? Even 100% tariff on a $7 sweatshirt is going to be $14.
That's why you do 1,000%.
Yeah, but then they'll offer a 90% off coupon. See what I'm saying? It's like I hear you. I understand the tariff argument. And right now, if you order things under $800 from a website like Shein, it's not tariffed. There's a threshold, and President Trump has been trying to work on that. But yeah, what my point of saying that is, it has to happen at the point of purchase. We have to stop ourselves from saying one thing and doing another, saying we want to buy American, but then turn around and download the Shein app and buy off Shein for a $7 dress, which, by the way, I did this in December. I went on their website. I ordered 4 or 5 dresses. It was like $50, Dave, by the time I stacked the coupons. $50 for these dresses. And now I feel badly that I did that. Now, would I have gone to Forever 21 to buy those dresses? Probably not, because I'm forever 57. I'm 57. I have purchased things at Forever 21, certainly for both of my daughters, and I think for some time they carried clothes for my son too, like men's or teenage boys' clothing. So I think I bought some there too. I felt like I was always being dragged into Forever 21 when my kids were younger. It doesn't fit my style anymore, but I don't know why I think Shein fits my style. It was just cheap.
Yeah.
And I needed some quick dresses because I'm trying to figure out like how I can travel with dresses that don't require like dry cleaning and that kind of thing. So I'm guilty of it. At least last December I was. I know I'm not a frequent flyer on Shein. But then do you ever think of this too, Dave? I just wonder if this is you. If I'm not buying that, how are those people getting paid? Will they get any money at all? Like, how can I help them without exploiting them? And you see, like,
right.
How do can I just give them money? and I don't know how to do that. So there's this weird, like, vicious thought process that goes on in my brain about how to make that happen and how to help them without exploiting them, which I feel like I'm part of.
Well, it's not buying the $7 shirt.
Just stop.
That's just not helping them, right? There's the reason that is a market is because we are choosing to make it a market. We look at that. And are we going to go through and source everything we buy? There's no way. It's impractical. It's impossible. Or they'll hide it in shell companies and it'll look like it's coming from Denmark. Like all of a sudden, Denmark has an explosion of clothing generation, right? They will figure a way around it, which is why you and I, it can't just fall on you and I. This is where the government has to come in and say, we've got to make sure that these unfair labor practices are addressed and harshly addressed when you see something that is completely and totally wrong. Because if you've got people working for $1 a day and we have a minimum of $7.25, but everyone's really making $11 or $12 or $15, yeah, you can't compete. You can't compete if you're a manufacturer.
You're putting way too much of this in the laps of government officials. I'm going to go back to my original take on this. American shoppers are two-faced because you've said it, I've said it, we know people who've said it. It is a topic of discussion at Thanksgiving dinner. Buy American. We brag about it, right? But then we turn around, and after we wrap up dinner with our friends and family, we go home and we buy from China. And this has to come from, like I said, the point of purchase. You can't rely on the government to stop your spending habit. You can't rely on the government to make sure you shop only at a store where things are made in America and not in China. That's up to you. But when you order, a stack of clothing, like we talked about earlier, your daughter did, for $200 off of Shein, after breaking up with Forever 21.
Totally cheated on.
We're responsible for that. We're responsible for that. And I'm not saying that Forever 21's problems, would have gone away, whatever all those problems were, just because, because we can't blame everything on Shein. There's a lot of reasons why stores come and go. I mean, some people do. You just age out of shopping at that store. Right? You move on. They don't keep up their stores the way you like to, there's not bright in there. You can't see the stuff. There's too much merchandise. I've been in stores, not Forever 21, but where there's merchandise is so packed in there. I'm like, I can't even squeeze through these racks. I'm not coming back. So maybe it's customer service. There's so many reasons why retailers go away and never come back. Think of all the retailers that have gone away in my lifetime and they're never coming back, or they've been absorbed by another chain. But when it comes to this kind of stuff, where we say we're going to buy American, and we paid $11 billion for merchandise in 2023 off the Shein website, we're two-faced. We're talking out of both sides of our mouth, and we are not willing to admit it.
If there's a broken business model, which Forever 21 no doubt had a broken business model, when you have these big brick and mortar stores where you hire, multiple people to run these, and you're paying electricity and delivering to the store, all of these costs, that is a broken model compared to what's going on with, what do you call them, e-tailers?
E-tailers.
Yeah, e-tailers.
Yeah,
where
I see what you're saying.
You order it up online and they ship it off to you. You cut out the middleman. You cut out all of that overhead. That is a broken business model if you're trying to sell affordable clothes. And I think that's what Forever 21 has learned. It was a broken business model. That I'm fine with. If your company goes bankrupt because you have a broken business model, I have very little sympathy for you. I'm like, sorry, you didn't adapt to the times. It's the unfair business practices that are really at the heart of the problem, I believe. And I think they're spot on when they blame Temu, when they blame Shein for these unfair labor practices, these unfair business practices. That is what sank it. Because there's plenty of companies out there that have a brick and mortar, come try on our clothes business model that is working, but not when you're comparing it to the $7 shirts.
On our text line, this listener says, how do we know what we're buying in store didn't originate from Shein or similar?
Fair.
Yeah, that's fair. Bought her daughter a set of rings off of Etsy for $20, thinking it was supporting a small business, and then found the same exact set of rings on Shein for less than $5.
Oh, so true. Yeah.
In fact, we talked about this in the 9 o'clock hour this morning of our show, and one of our listeners, Carol, pulled her car over on the side of the road because she wanted to talk about this so badly, and she called us. She has kind of a similar story, but her order was for a pair of pants for her husband off of Amazon.
Anyway, I have been, my husband been looking for a specific kind of jogging pants, and we've been to all the local stores, couldn't find what he wanted, so ordered it from Amazon. Normally we get 1 to 2 day delivery. Well, it didn't show up. Checked on it. It was coming from China, and we did not know that, or we would not have ordered it.
I think the world's such a small place now that we have really no way of knowing. Like, was that thread made in China? Or what about those buttons on that outfit? You know, where did those come from? It's really hard to know. I wish things were marked.
We learned this when President Trump tried to put tariffs on vehicles. And what we learned is, okay, so we're going to put the internal combustion engine in Detroit in the car, and then we're going to ship it up to Canada to install this, and then we're going to ship it down to Mexico to do that, and it's bouncing back and forth. There are no borders in many of these manufacturing lines. It's not just, hey, we're going to build everything in Detroit, Michigan. This is where the car is going to be produced. It is a global economy now, and we are grabbing things from all over the world, and you might have, of the 1,000 parts or thousands of parts in a car, it might come from hundreds of different locations. So trying to narrow it down and pinpoint what the unfair practice is unbearably difficult. And then, is it Buy American if 51% of the vehicle is produced in America? Or if the majority of the parts were used from America, does that qualify as Buy American? So that's the struggle. Is it's not easy to track down where it was purchased. Where did that wool come from? Where did the sewing happen? Where was the shipping origination? Like, there's so many questions. It's impossible to buy American. It's impossible to know if what you're buying is American.
So do we need to stop saying it?
Maybe. I don't know. I think it's a noble quest. I think it's a noble quest because we have standards in this country. We have standards in pay. We have standards in work quality and environment, and that is noble. The rest of the world doesn't necessarily live up to those same standards, and they take advantage of their workers largely in horrible and terrible conditions in some cases. Other places, they just can produce it easier and more efficiently than we can. And we shouldn't necessarily punish them if they're doing a better job than we are. So it's a very complicated thing. I wish it was as easy as, hey, Buy American. Okay, click the box.
Mm-hmm. Or walk down to the corner store and buy American.
Yeah.
Yeah, those days are long gone. Next, it's the 5-year mark of the 5.7 magnitude earthquake that so many of us felt in March of 2020. And so many of us made lofty promises to ourselves that we would be more prepared, and our homes would be more prepared, and our food supply would be more prepared for the next one, just in case. Are we? Let's go over the earthquake preparedness checklist next to see how prepared you really are.
Dave and Dujanovic. Are you asking for Dave and Debbie everywhere?
Just say, Alexa, play KSL News Radio.
And stream them on your phone. The KSL News Radio app.
You know Master Electric. You see the vans driving around occasionally. You probably have seen it since 1950-something. 1952, Master Electric's been driving around in the vans, helping you guys out in your community. Well, now they've joined forces with Mountain Home Services.
And the checklist of things that they can do for you are it's getting longer and longer. So you need those electrical outlets replaced or that recessed lighting installed. Maybe you need your HVAC looked at. Maybe you need a new HVAC. Well, they can do that.
Included plumbing, fireplaces, you name it, and that would be beautiful, right? Today, when you look outside, wouldn't a new fireplace just be fantastic? Mountain Home Services, all of this comes with an upfront pricing guarantee, which means when they come out, they give you a bid, they're going to honor that bid. It's not going to be a big surprise when they hand you the invoice. You're like, where did this come from? This is not what we discussed. They have an upfront pricing guarantee, no hidden fees.
Yeah, and that comes with a 100% satisfaction guarantee, too.
Yeah, check them out online, mountainhomeservices.com. That's mountainhomeservices.com.
And here's their phone number, 801-543-2222. One more time, 801-543-2222.
When should you file for Social Security to get the most out of your benefits? Get the answer in a free report, your guide to filing for Social Security in 2025 and beyond. It's from Boss Retirement Solutions. If you've saved more than $200,000 and have not filed for Social Security, get your free report now by calling 801-251-1046. 801-251-1046. There's more to maximizing Social Security than filing for your benefits early or late. This free report details all of the different things you must consider that could help you get the most net income from Social Security. Wring every nickel out of your benefits that are rightfully yours. Get your free report now by calling 801-251-1046. That's 801-251-1046.
Boss Retirement Solutions is not affiliated with the Social Security Administration.
Hi, it's Julie from the Visitors Bureau in Logan. I'm here to make your spring break planning so easy. Here we go. Reserve your hotel room right now. Don't miss the original Baby Animal Days at the American West Heritage Center, April 2nd through the 5th and 10th through the 12th. Watch your kids and grandkids cuddle all the baby animals like lambs, goats, piglets, bunnies, and chicks. So adorable. Or forget the kids. You'll love them too. Baby bears from Yellowstone Bear World will be here April 2nd through the 5th, combined with the Cache Valley Mountain Man Rendezvous, non-stop adventure. Next, head to the Cache Valley Fun Park for laser tag, roller skating, bowling, and arcade games. Take your family to Angie's for the kitchen sink, a mountainous banana split on steroids served in an actual sink. Pick up a life supply of goldfish crackers at the Pepperidge Farm Factory or see them hand-dipping chocolates at the Bluebird Candy Company. Head to Logan for spring break or anytime you need a break. ExploreLogan.com. ExploreLogan.com.
Is that a new Samsung Galaxy A15 5G?
Yeah, I got it for free when I joined Cricket Nation.
Sounds pretty great.
At Cricket, anyone can get a new phone when they switch.
Whoa.
With a high-quality camera, meaning more flattering selfies for all. And super fast 5G, so you can post them for all to see. Your friends, your family, your ex. Free phone! Free phone!
Okay, I'll switch.
Welcome to Cricket Nation.
Cricket 5G is not available everywhere. Must bring your number to Cricket on a $60 a month voice plan. First month service charge and tax to its sale. These terms and other restrictions apply. See cricketwireless.com for details.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-859-6688. 800-859-6688. 800-859-6688.
11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott. KSL's top story this hour. The University of Utah is filling prescriptions with food. The school is running a food pharmacy out of a trailer, moving to different locations, providing nutrition and meal planning. Associate Director at University of Utah Diabetes Prevention Program, Ellen Maxfield, says there are many different diseases caused by food insecurity or unhealthy food options.
You know, I think people probably immediately think about diabetes and high blood pressure, but additionally gestational diabetes, individuals with heart failure.
To visit the food pharmacy, a doctor would need to write a referral, which is then good for 6 visits. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. 2 Teslas were apparently set on fire in Las Vegas this morning.
Police in Las Vegas say they'll be providing more details, but early this morning, several Teslas were seen fully engulfed in flames, burning at a Tesla collision center. They were allegedly set on fire. A motive isn't clear, but it comes as Teslas have been targeted around the country because of Elon Musk's relationship with the Trump administration.
That's ABC's Alex Stone. Your money at this moment, the Dow is down 306 points. The S&P is down 63. And coming up, snow showers linger through the afternoon. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:31.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
You know, I've been telling you guys for years that Connecticut water softeners use 2/3 less salt than most other water softeners, but I've never told you how this works. Well, there are several ways. So let's take this as lesson one. Lesson one from Dave about water softeners. Most softeners use a finicky, hard-to-adjust computer, and then it guesstimates when to cycle. And then what it does is it errs on cycling too often, which means it's going to burn through way too much salt too soon. Connecticut is different because it has an all-mechanical system that measures water so precisely without computers, without guesstimating. It only cycles when it is needed. And the result is Connecticut is able to deliver you perfectly soft water 24/7 using minimal salt. So you're going to save that lower bag. You're not going to carry 3 bags. You're just going to carry 1 bag. Call Northern Utah's authorized Connecticut dealer, Connecticut Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake now at 801-576-8600. That's 801-576-8600 or online at softwaterutah.com and let them know Dave sent you.
Any Hour Services can help you make sure your furnace keeps you warm this winter. Whether you need a tune-up, a repair, or a second opinion about replacing it, call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's low-rate auto loans. Here's Ricky Meese.
Freeways are still kind of wet if you're out and about your side streets. And some of the main secondaries are where you need to watch for slushy and sometimes slick conditions. But freeways mostly clear. I even have a spot or two where the road is drying out. We still have crews working on this accident northbound Bangerter Highway prior to the 201 junction, about 2400 south. Only a left lane of traffic is getting through. And for those who are hoping to head up to the slopes and take advantage of this new snow, traction laws still in place for Big and Little Cottonwood Canyons. Our 100th spring is right around the corner, and Murdoch Chevrolet can help you take those curves in style. Right now, receive 5.9% for 84 months on the new heavy-duty Silverados. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Snow showers continue through the afternoon. We'll see a high of 39 today. The sun is back tomorrow with a high of 45, with temperatures continuing to warm back to the 50s over the weekend. Right now it is 33 and cloudy. I'm Claire Scott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
5 years ago today, I didn't know what was going on. The building was shaking. We were scared. Turns out it was that 5.7 magnitude earthquake, epicenter Magna, Utah. Magna, Utah. And we made a promise to ourselves, at least I did, that I will never go into another earthquake ill-prepared, not knowing exactly what to do, and not having enough, for example, water, food supply available. So let's take the Are You Prepared earthquake for the next earthquake quiz right now, Dave.
I'll tell you this. I failed. I failed as a father. I failed as a husband. As soon as that earthquake hit, I'm like, get in the doorway, because I remember seeing that at some point somewhere. And that was so outdated. That is not what you do. You don't just jump into the doorway. You drop, you cover, you hold on. This is like brand new information for me, and now I've heard it 1,000 times. The only one in my family that did the right thing was my son, who was 9 years old, who had
that.
drilled it in school and knew exactly what to do. Like, oh, okay, the 9-year-old's the only one that passed this test.
Well, as part of that test, you can't just say, I made the mistake and I got in the doorway, and you don't do that anymore. It's outdated. We should tell our fans, why is it outdated? Do you remember what we learned?
A couple things. They don't build doors the way they used to, so it's not like double reinforced headers. So it's not the most stable part of your house. And then you have the door that in an earthquake can swing back and forth, and you might get your fingers stuck in between the closing door and smash your fingers. So that's one of the reasons you don't go in the doorway.
KSL News Radio's Don Brinkerhoff broke this down, like what could happen when the next one hits. And I think if you have been hesitant to jump into action and get prepared, or you've put it off for 5 years after the last quake, just listen to what Don reported.
Utah has a 43% chance of experiencing a magnitude 6.75 earthquake sometime in the next 50 years. Earthquakes.utah.gov indicates that prediction is based on recurring quakes along the Wasatch Fault over the past 6,000 years. Known as a strong earthquake, a 6.75 would likely damage infrastructure, including roads and bridges, as well as water, power, and sewer services. According to Envision Utah, a month after such a quake, 100,000 people would still be without power. After 3 months, 300,000 would still be without drinking water, and sewer services would probably take 6 to 7 months to restore. Don Brinkerhoff, KSL News Radio.
Well, thanks, Don. That is my nightmare. 6 or 7 months to restore the sewer system.
I just realized I don't have anywhere to go to the bathroom if I'm stuck at home for 6 or 7 months. Might be something I want to look into in my earthquake preparedness plan. But what I have done has been, in the last 5 years, is far more than the previous 30 years that I've lived here to prepare for earthquakes. I have removed things, objects that are high up on shelves. I no longer put shelves over a bed. I also use that museum putty, which is amazing. So if something is on a shelf and I don't want it to tip over, like for example, I have my children's cute little casted hands from when they were babies, and I would just be beside myself if those got tipped over, because they would just fall apart in an earthquake. They're not bronze. They will just disintegrate. So I have put museum putty on the bottom of those, and they're on the very bottom shelf anyway on the display cabinet. But if they did happen to tip over or be pushed forward or out of the display cabinet, well, that museum putty keeps them in place. So I've gone around the house and done that, which I think is a huge win. But what I haven't done is figured out where I'm going to use the restroom for 6 months if, there's no sewer line. Do I have enough water on hand if the water in my area goes down for several weeks? I have to go through my water supply and count how many jugs of water I have. And there's probably more I can be doing. So let's get with Bianca Velasquez, with Public Relations Specialist with the Utah Division of Emergency Management. Good morning, Bianca.
Hey. Good morning. How are y'all?
Doing great. All right, let's pick your brain a little bit. What is the one thing we should be thinking about that could help us prepare for an earthquake?
Well, y'all already kind of brought that up. Build a kit. So we recommend building a 72-hour kit for each person. So this includes a kit with water, non-perishable food, first aid kits, medicine, etc. That's personalized to each person in your family.
I saw some kits in my friend's pantry this weekend, and I didn't realize they make gluten-free ones. My daughter eats gluten-free because she has celiac, so I was realizing I need to go online and order her a special kit. It's not a diet she chooses. She has to do that. So I love that idea, and I'm going to take care of that today. I'm going to go and order her a kit. That's great. What's your next tip, Bianca?
Absolutely. So, of course, these kits are not one size fits all. Everybody has different needs, like medications and things like that. But as far as the general items that need to go in, of course, a first aid kit with bandages, antiseptic wipes, pain relievers, and necessary personal medications, a flashlight, and make sure to have some extra batteries, a battery-powered or hand-crank radio with a NOAA weather radio with tone alert is essential so that you know what's going on as you're sheltering in place. One thing that people often forget, important documents. you got to make sure you have your documents or copies of insurance identification and other important documents in a waterproof container. You're not thinking about that during an emergency, so make sure that you have that in advance. Some other essentials include a whistle, a dust mask, manual can opener, and some extra batteries, and then some shelter-in-place supplies, which include plastic sheeting and duct tape to help shelter in place. Of course, those personal hygiene items are really important, like toilet paper and soap. And you mentioned, where am I going to go to the bathroom?
Right, yeah.
Feminine products and things like that, tools, including a wrench or pliers to turn off your utilities. And then let's not forget about our furry friends that we love so much. We want to make sure that we have our pet supplies prepared to make sure that we have everything ready for our pets in the case of emergency as well.
We're speaking with Bianca Velasquez, Public Relations Specialist with Utah Division of Emergency Management, as we look back on the 5-year anniversary of the earthquake here in Utah, and we're giving you some of the tips. We got the 72-hour kit. We got a first aid kit. Is there a final top tip that you have for us?
Absolutely. So one thing to develop with your family is a communications plan. It's super important to have a plan on how to get in touch with each other when disaster strikes. So you might all be in different places like work, school, and home, and you need to know how you're going to communicate with each other. One thing to consider is to make an out-of-state contact. So with, an earthquake, there might be issues with communication. You might not be able to connect with each other within the state, but you might be able to connect with people outside of the state. So if you have a relative, let's say in Wyoming, that everybody can call and can be that point person to make sure that everybody's okay within the state.
The out-of-state contact. I hadn't thought about that one. That is an outstanding tip. Bianca Velasquez, thank you so much for joining us from the Utah Division of Emergency Management.
How much work do you have cut out for you?
There's a few things I need to check off the list, I'll be honest, Deb. One of the reasons that these 72-hour kits are so important, as we've talked to Be Ready Utah in the past, is oftentimes when you're listening to Don, he's like, it might be a month for this or a few months out for that or 6 months out for that, is oftentimes if you can get through that first 72 hours, that allows the government to come in with some of that relief where they can build centers and food and water and set up some of these stations. But that initial 72 hours is the most difficult to get the help.
Well, we'll need a honey bucket, too. I learned that.
Yeah, definitely.
Straight ahead, we just experienced the biggest snowfall of the season. We're going to ask Kevin Eubank, KSL meteorologist, next, if it's going to continue tonight and in the coming days. He's joining the show straight ahead.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. Select Health, founded in 1982, offers comprehensive healthcare services and insurance plans for businesses, individuals, and families. Committed to improving health and wellness, they serve communities across Utah and beyond. Heidi Castaneda from Select Health joins us with more.
Select Health's level-funded plans offer small businesses the predictability of fixed monthly payments that cover insurance, administrative costs, and medical claims. If the claims are lower than expected, half of the unused funds are returned as a credit for future use, providing opportunities to save. These plans are a great choice for businesses that don't currently offer health insurance, those exploring alternatives to traditional plans, or small companies looking for a more manageable approach to healthcare expenses. In addition to affordability, level-funded plans include nationwide coverage, virtual care, wellness rewards, prescription medication savings, and tools to help employees manage healthcare costs. Employers also get personalized support, HR resources, and compliance assistance. With simple plan management and valuable benefits, Select Health helps businesses provide access to high-quality health care while keeping expenses manageable so employers can focus on their business and employees can stay healthy.
Select Health's level-funded plans offer small businesses the affordability, flexibility, and stability they need to thrive in today's fast-paced business world. To learn more, visit their website at selecthealth.org. This is Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
At Intermountain Children's Health, we've created a bold plan called Primary Promise to build the nation's model health system for children. Help us achieve this once-in-a-generation vision so together we can bring the world-class care of Primary Children's Hospital closer to home for every child in our communities. For more than a century, Primary Children's has kept the child first and always. Join us for the next 100 years. To learn more, Visit primarypromise.org.
David Dujanovic.
We just went through the biggest snowstorm of the season so far, and Mother Nature delivering like she does just a couple of days before the calendar turns to spring. How was your commute in, Dave?
It was miserable. And I will say this. Can I just give Utah from about 6 o'clock in the morning to 7 o'clock in the morning a big hug? Because for the first time in my entire life here, 40-plus years, we were all so respectful, drove an appropriate speed. We were like 30 miles into Salt Lake. Nobody's like zooming past us like they're F1 racers. It was incredible. It was the most respectful drive into work I've ever experienced. So maybe we've learned a valuable lesson. Or maybe I just was lucky this one time for an hour in my commute.
I'm glad. I'm glad for you. Kevin Eubank, KSL meteorologist, on the line with us. Hi, Kev. This is like...
Hey, guys. How are we today?
Oh, good. You probably are. You probably woke up like it's Christmas morning.
Hey, we love this stuff.
Yeah.
This is water that we drink throughout the rest of the year. So it's a good storm.
Did we get a lot?
We got a lot, and we're not totally done. So this storm kind of came in two parts. We had the front that came through overnight, and now this morning and then even into this afternoon, we're going to get lake effect bands that are going to continue to add to the totals in isolated spots. So just to give you some ideas, up in our mountains, over a foot, almost a foot and a half. Alta's up to 16 inches, Snowbird 15, 13 at Solitude. And then on some of the benches, where I live, I'm on the Bountiful Bench, 11 inches on the ground. Last night at midnight when I got home from work, it was bare ground. And today I pushed 11 inches with a four-wheeler out of the driveway. So big totals. North Salt Lake had 9, Tooele had 9, the Avenues had 9 inches. So really good water, a dense snow, so it's not real fluffy, but it's got water in it. And as I mentioned, we're not totally done. So the snow will keep coming in waves this afternoon, especially south and east of the Great Salt Lake and Utah Lake.
I was going to say, are you going to try to convince me that this is actually snow? Because this is the wettest, heaviest snow. It's like straight slush coming down.
Yeah, it was barely freezing, but it was enough that it made for a really heavy, wet, dense snow. But I will say this is a really good pattern, all things considering. It's been a terrible winter when you look at compared to the last 2 years that were just awesome. It's been a pretty rough winter, but when you look at the snowpack in northern Utah, we're almost above 100% in all of our basins. Central Utah's in that 50 to 60 range, and then southern Utah's starting to creep up with some of the southern storms. But we're going to need a really good spring to get us into a position where we can do well through the summer. So these kinds of storms, they're lifesavers. I know they're inconvenient, but the crazy thing is, and you guys know this, give it 2 days, it's gone. It's totally gone. It's amazing how fast that water or that snow gets down into the ground and just disappears.
Kevin, your definition of a really good spring and my definition are two totally different. Like you're praying for more snow and rain, and I'm praying for sunshine and 70. But I know we need the water.
I'm praying for a flight for you. That's what I'm praying for. Let's get you on a plane.
Get me out of here to where it's sunny. Okay, so we're looking at it. Maybe what are we looking at for the afternoon commute?
Yeah, so it looks like the potential for another 1 to 3 inches in the valleys if you're under one of those lake effect bands. And that all depends on the wind. So if the wind coming over the lake takes it into Davis County, they're the ones that get that additional, and Salt Lake kind of gets missed out. But if it goes through the Tooele Valley, Salt Lake Valley, we could see another 1 to 3 inches through the afternoon and evening commute. So it's one of those storms that I believe we're still not done. We've got a couple more inches to go before it all shuts down, probably 9, 10 o'clock tonight. It'll be completely out of here, and then we've got a sunny day tomorrow, but cold. Highs will be in the 40s. So still a couple more rounds of snow to go this evening. So do exactly what Dave said. Be respectful, slow down, allow yourself extra time. I talked to a lot of people who heeded UDOT's counsel to delay getting in this morning, and I think that made a huge difference. There just wasn't as many people out on the roads because those who could were able to either stay home, work from home, or delay getting into the office.
I felt it, absolutely. Kevin Eubank, thank you so much. Fantastic KSL meteorologist. We could get another 1 to 3 inches in the afternoon if lake effect and the winds cooperate. Other than that, it might be some smooth sailing. It's still really wet because obviously so much dumped down.
And our weather department on top of this storm all day long. Of course, this afternoon with Maria right at noon, and then again this afternoon with Jeff Kaplan and his afternoon news team tracking the storm and the evening commute. So you want to keep it right here. 102.7 or wherever you listen to KSL News Radio. Wanted to hop over to the traffic center for just a moment and get with Ricky Mees. What are you seeing in terms of traffic problems? Anything our listeners need to be aware of?
Debbie, you wouldn't know that what I'm seeing in traffic right now is completely opposite of what we had this morning on the freeways. In fact, I'm looking at a live shot of Bangor Highway in West Valley where we just had a crash, and there are parts of that road that are drying out. So we are seeing the tail end of that first wave of the storm. So we have a good drive on the freeways. It's the higher elevations where we kind of need to focus our attention. We're hearing from UDOT that SR 210, which is Little Cottonwood Canyon, that's going to close at 1 o'clock for avalanche mitigation. They're going to try to work on getting that under control to make sure the canyon is safe for everyone, for those who travel up there for fun and for those who live there. So at 1 o'clock, the uphill will close at the mouth of the canyon. About 1:30, 2 o'clock, they'll close downhill, which will give people time to leave the resorts and everything and get down to the valley if they need to. They'll close that right about the Snowbird area, and Little Cottonwood Canyon is not expected to reopen until about 3:30 this afternoon. So if that's your plan to go skiing or you need to get down to the valley, you've got to do that soon. Now, the other thing, UDOT also says, their crew says that as soon as the parking lots have been closed for downhill travel, resort guests and backcountry users and those who live there, you will not be allowed to leave until the avalanche control has been concluded, and they'll open up that road. So just keep that in mind for your plans.
Ricky Mees, thank you so much for joining us. Great update in the KSL Traffic Center. Yeah, because we did. When we started the show, Debbie, we had a problem. I-15 in American Fork, Point of the Mountains, Sandy, Mountain View, and Bangor. All of those had serious issues, and now smooth sailing.
So this morning when I drove in, I was very strategic on my drive. I did not take I-15 for the first time in a long time because I was listening to Utah's Morning News, and they were doing regular traffic updates, as they do every single morning. And they were talking about I-15 was slow between Murray and then further north. And I was like, I know what's going on there. It's probably going to get worse. And it seemed like the temperature was dropping, so I decided to strategically take Redwood Road in, which was fast. I mean, it actually was pretty quick. Well, when I hit Salt Lake City, apparently y'all were getting the storm because down in South Jordan, I didn't see a lot of snow. Wet roads, yeah. Colder temperatures, yeah. But not snow. So I thought, well, I'm golden. This is going to be amazing. You know, I don't know how many of you do this, but when I go to bed at night, knowing there's going to be a snowstorm, I will roll over occasionally and ask the device in my room. I don't want to say it out loud because she'll start talking.
Launch it.
Yeah, like, is it snowing outside? Is it snowing? And then I'll get up once in a while and I'll peek and look outside. And I was like, I'm golden. This is amazing. Well, I got to 4th South, and I made the decision to take a right turn from Redwood and head into to downtown over the 4th South Bridge. That was the biggest mistake of my commute. I don't think the plows had been on it for a little bit. Obviously, they're busy in other areas of the city. Whatever, that happens. But the temperature was so cold, it started to it was freezing up. And that bridge is so steep. I mean, it's not as steep as some of the steepest roads in Utah, but it is so steep that I got to the top of that thing and I was just panicked. And then I realized, now I got to go down it. And of course, who times the lights in this city? Who times the light? Because you time that light to turn red as I was coming off that down, like that blue run on 4th South. And I was able to stop my car in time, but I thought about running that red light because the timing was just not good for coming to a stop without skidding. I started to fishtail.
Can I give a shout out to the steepest roads in the most miserable roads to travel right now?
Go quick.
Let's give it to West Zane Avenue. That is a 20-degree slope. That is basically a blue run on the ski slopes. If you're up there skiing right now, blue run. That's basically what Zane Avenue is. Same thing for 300 North, West Girard, Harrison Avenue. And my personal favorite, where my mom taught me to drive stick shift, is Antelope Drive, right at Church Street and Highway 89. That big old dip is miserable.
In Layton?
In Layton. Yeah, it's brutal. But anyway, Thanks, folks. And big thanks to Kevin Eubank for joining us.
Yeah.
Sounds like we'll have a little bit more.
Yeah, Maria Chaleos, in fact, up next with much more. Her team, reporters and producers, keeping an eye, along with Maria, on this storm.
Dave and Dujanovic. Are you asking for Dave and Debbie everywhere?
Just say, Alexa,